All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today we're going to go over Article 1 of the Constitution, which talks about Congress. Okay. So, this is like part one of it. All right. So, we're going to analyze what Article 1 says in the Constitution. We're examine the requirements to be a congressman or woman. And lastly, we're going to create an argument on who should have the power to impeach a judge, congressman, or president. Okay. Now, this warm up is so simple. So many students in class were like, just kind of surprised, like, wait, Martinez, this is like really easy. I know, I know it is, but I'm trying to get the notion across to you of how a bill works. Okay. So the question is saying this railroad bill, what's the next process for it? If you notice, it says the House gave it an okay, the Senate gave it an okay. So where's the next step? It says it on the picture. This should not take you forever to write. Okay? It's right there. If you cannot see it, you are if you're lost, I don't know what to say. Okay? You need to find somebody to help you because it tells you right there in the picture. Okay. So think about it. It shouldn't take long. Write your response down, okay? Because we're moving on in three, two, one. All right. So the Constitution, Article 1. The government says will be made up of three branches, which is the legislative, the executive, and judicial. Now, Section 1 of the Constitution of Article 1 says we're calling our legislature branch Congress. Okay? And it's a bicameral, meaning two houses. So you will hear sometimes in the news or on TikTok and things like that, people saying, oh, the House of Representatives, the Senate, and then they'll say Congress. When they say Congress, they're referring to both groups, House of Representatives and the Senate combined. That's Congress. Okay. So whenever you hear Congress, they're talking about both of them. Whereas if they say House of Representatives or the Senate, they're talking about that one particular branch inside that other branch. Okay. So, Section 2 says the House of Representatives will be the lower house. So, if you're like, wait, is there an upper house? Yes, there is. We'll get to that in a minute. So, House of Representatives is the lower house. In order to be a representative, you have to be at least 25 years old and live in your state for the past 7 years. So, like I said in class, if you are about to be 18 and you want to be a representative for the county of Fresno, which is right there on the map, um, you can if you stay in California, you know. And it's best that you live in the area that you're representing. It doesn't look good if you're living in San Francisco Bay Area and you're like, oh, I'm representing the people of Fresno. That just don't look good at all. Okay. Now, these guys have a term limit of 2 years, meaning every 2 years they have to campaign all over again, trying to get people to vote for them. Okay. Now, how do the government decide how many representatives each state gets? It's based on population. Okay. So the more people live in a state, the more representatives they're going to get. Now, California has the most. I believe we have 56 representatives. Okay. Because we are the state with the most people. Now, are we the state with the most land? No. But that's not what it's based on. Okay. And that's the thing that some people can't get out of their minds is, oh, large states mean large amount of people. No, no, it doesn't. Like Alaska. If you take Alaska and you put it in the United States, it's basically that middle part of our country. That's the size of Alaska. But nobody lives out there. you know, their representatives, they have maybe like two, okay? Because there's nobody living out there. It's all snow, okay? States like Texas, Florida, New York, Ohio, they have a lot of people. So their representative numbers is pretty high, okay? Now, if you continue to read Section 2 in the Constitution, you'll come across a part talking about the three-fifths compromise, basically saying that black people are three-fifths of a person. But here's the thing, that no longer applies because of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. But in order for the Constitution to be approved back in the day, the 35th compromise had to be reached by both the Federalists and Anti Federalists. And again, this was something I taught you guys last month, but I doubt you remember, so that's why I added this in there. Okay. Now, the other powers that Congress has is impeachment powers. They can get rid of a president, judge, and other congressmen and women. Okay. Now, the powers are separated between the two. Okay. The House of Representatives files the charges. And that's when the press will say, oh, this president or whoever is impeached. Okay. Yes, that person is impeached. The charges, they have been filed with charges of impeachment. Does that mean they're automatically kicked out? No, because then that's where the other side comes in, the Senate. They then have the trial. They then hear everything and stuff like that, and they decide whether the charges stick or not. And if they stick, then that person's gone. And if the charges don't stick, even if it's by one vote, then that person is let go. Okay. Now, have we ever impeached anyone? Absolutely. Absolutely. In total, we've had 20 people charged with 21 charges. Yes, one person was charged twice. And I can give you a guess who it is. And yes, it's a former president. And their last name starts with a T. So, of those people, 8 were found guilty. Okay. 3 were charged, meaning they were found guilty, but then they resigned. They quit. Okay. Before the before the impeachment charges could be fully processed and um, put in. Okay. One of the charges was dismissed and 9 were acquitted. Okay. That president you see right there, that is Richard Nixon. He was about to be charged with impeachment, but when he found out that hey, this we're going to lose, he quit as president. So instead of being the first president to be impeached, completely impeached, he became the first president to resign, who basically quit. Okay. Now, Section 3 says the upper house is the Senate. We talked about, is there an upper house? Yes, it's the Senate. It's right there. Now, in order to be a senator, you have to be at least 30 years old and live in the state for at least 9 years. Now, here's the difference between a person running for a Senate and the House of Representatives. Like I said, if you live in San Francisco, but you're running to be a representative of Fresno, it just looks bad. Whereas a senator, you can basically live anywhere because you're representing your state as a whole. Okay, not just one particular section. Because every state gets 2 senators. Okay, regardless how big or small the state is, you get 2 senators. Now, how long are the terms? 6 years. Okay, but here's the kicker. So if you look at that bottom or that picture to the side there, um, every 2 years, a third of those guys have to run. Okay, and in another 2 years, another third of them have to run, and in the last third, that last group has to run. Okay, the founding fathers did not trust the Senate. They didn't want them all to be together and then come in together, leave together, because they were like that could be corruption right there, hardcore corruption. So they said, you know what? Yeah, let's make sure, since they're going to be here for a while, let's make sure the thing is always changing. If they get reelected, fine. That's what the people wanted. But let's make sure that they are constantly rotated. Okay. Now, who runs the Senate? That's the vice president. I've had a lot of students ask me, well, what does the vice president do? Well, that's one of their main jobs is to run the Senate. Now, can they make the Senate vote certain ways? No, they can't. They're basically over there to oversee that the process of things is done legitimately by the law, things like that. So when they're voting and some of that, it's by the book. Okay, that's their job. Okay. Um, Now, if let's say somebody is impeached, right? The Senate needs 2/3 of them to vote to impeach the judge, congressman, president, whoever it may be. 2/3. So again, if you look at that picture, um, like take a half and take another half of that other half, and that's a little over 2/3, but still, you get the idea. That's how many people have to say yes for the charges to stick. And if even one person says no, they jump on the other side, um, then guess what? They've lost. Okay, and that person impeachment charges probably won't stick. Okay. Now, Section 4 says the elections are to be ran by the states. So Congress does not run the elections, the states do. Now, here's a fun little fact. And this is there, it says under Section 4, both the House of Representatives and the Senate have to meet at least once a year. To technically do their job, to fulfill their oath, they only have to show up to work one time. Okay? That's it. Bare minimum. So imagine getting paid thousands of dollars, getting a lot of perks, getting a lot of stuff, you know, be able to do a lot of stuff for, um, in your state and things like that because you're a senator and all you have to do is show up to work one time a year. How many of you guys would want that job? Good health care, great benefits, things like that. And all you have to do is show up one time a year to your job. Minimum, minimum, one time. A lot of you guys would take that. I sure would. All right. So here's my question to you. Who do you feel has the right to judge a person being impeached? Should it still be the Senate? Should it be judges? Or should it be us, the people? Who should decide when a judge, congressman or woman, or president should be impeached? Who do you think should decide that? Okay. And tell me, why do you believe this? Why do you say the Senate? Or why do you say the judges? Why do you say the people? Okay. Be sure to explain why. If you notice, there's no writing prompt. Again, this is on purpose because I want to see how well you can start a sentence. And you should not be putting no, the Congress should not, or yes, I believe, no, no. You should not start with no or yes. Okay. I'm telling you this right now. It should not start with those words. Okay. It should start with something like, in my opinion, or I believe, and go on from there. Okay. All right. So once you've answered this question, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So with that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later.